Picture this: a crowded courtroom. The air is thick with tension. Lawyers pace, the audience leans forward, reporters scribble furiously, cameras flash. And in the middle of it all sits one man, calm, silent, unmoving. The prosecutor hurls accusations. Every sentence is sharp, designed to provoke, to corner, to break him. Most people would panic. Most people would stutter, shout back, try to explain themselves. But not him. He doesn't flinch. He doesn't defend himself. He just looks into the eyes of the man screaming at him and says nothing. By the time the prosecutor finishes, the room is uncomfortably quiet. The silence. It feels heavy. It feels like he is the one in control, not the man holding the file, not the judge holding the gavel, not the audience watching. Because here's the truth: the one who can stay silent can stay powerful, and silence, my friend, is the weapon of the strong.
We live in a noisy world. A world where everyone has an opinion, and they can't wait more than 2 seconds to share it. Social media is a 24/7 megaphone for the insecure. People post without thinking, argue without breathing, and defend themselves against insults from complete strangers they'll never meet. You've been trained, without even realizing it, to believe that if you don't speak up instantly, you're weak. That if you don't clap back, you've lost. That if you don't defend your honor immediately, the other person wins. It's a lie. The truth is, silence requires more discipline than words. Anyone can talk, but to remain silent when every nerve in your body is screaming to speak, that's strength. The Stoics understood this. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You always own the option of having no opinion. There is never any need to get worked up or to trouble your soul about things you can't control." But here's the challenge. Silence is uncomfortable. Not just for others, for you. Because when you're silent, the noise is still there, but now it's inside your head. You feel the pressure, the weight, the urge to fill the space. That's why silence is a weapon, because most people can't hold it. And if you can, you've already won half the battle. Let me tell you something that will save you from countless fights, arguments, and regrets. You don't have to attend every battle you're invited to. Silence is not passive. It's not weakness. It's a shield. A shield that protects your energy, your emotions, and your reputation. When someone comes at you with aggression, they want one thing: a reaction. They want you to match their volume, their anger, their chaos. Because when you do, they have control. They set the terms. But when you stay silent, you break the rhythm. You confuse them. They're throwing punches at the air, and you're not even in the ring. I remember a story from a former Navy SEAL who said, "In combat, the loudest person in the room is the one who's losing control. The quiet one? That's the one you should worry about." Silence doesn't just deflect attacks, it redirects them. It forces the other person to deal with themselves. Think about how many arguments in your life would have ended instantly if you simply said nothing. No sarcastic comeback, no emotional outburst, no defensive rant, just nothing. You'd have walked away with your dignity intact,
and they'd be left stewing in their own noise.
Now, here's where it gets interesting. Silence isn't just a shield. It's a sword. Because when you choose your words carefully, when you wait, when you watch, when you let the other person talk themselves into a corner, when you finally speak, your words cut deep. A wise negotiator once told me, the person who talks least in a negotiation usually gets the better deal. Why? Because silence forces the other side to fill the void, and in filling it, they reveal their weaknesses, their insecurities, and sometimes the truth they didn't mean to share. I've seen it happen in business meetings. The rookie tries to impress everyone by talking nonstop. The veteran? He listens, he nods, and when he speaks, it's short, direct, and impossible to ignore. Silence makes people lean in. It makes them wonder what you're thinking. It makes them respect you or fear you, but either way, it makes them pay attention. In a world drowning in noise, silence is rare. And what's rare is valuable. Here's the hard truth. Silence isn't natural. It's not easy. And it doesn't happen by accident. You have to train for it. The first step? Stop giving free access to your emotions. Not everyone deserves an answer. Not every question deserves a reply. Not every insult deserves a defense. Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher, said, "If you wish to improve, be content to appear clueless or stupid in matters of no importance." In other words, let them think what they want. Your job is not to fix their opinion. Your job is to protect your mind. This requires patience. And patience is built through practice. Start small. When someone interrupts you, pause instead of raising your voice. When you're insulted online, close the app before you respond. When someone tries to bait you into an argument, smile and walk away. At first, it will feel like you're losing, but over time, you'll realize you're conserving your energy for battles that matter. You're controlling your reactions, and you're becoming someone people can't rattle.
Here's the part most people don't understand. Silence is not about suppressing your emotions. It's about mastering them. You can't be silent if you're boiling inside, ready to explode. That's just pretending. True silence, the kind that radiates strength, comes from internal peace. It's the difference between a dam holding back a flood that's trying to break through and a calm lake on a still morning. One is exhausting. The other is effortless. This is why the Stoics practiced stillness, meditation, journaling, reflection, not because they wanted to feel zen, but because they knew that when the storm hits, the calm mind makes the right call. Think of it like this. When a boxer gets punched, their training takes over. When a strong man is insulted, his training takes over too. He doesn't lash out. He doesn't rush to speak. He doesn't let the other person set the tempo. He owns the silence. And that's the first foundation of this weapon. Understanding why silence feels unnatural, how it protects you, and how it turns into a sword when used with discipline.
Here's a truth that nobody tells you in the age of constant talking. The less you speak, the more weight your words carry. In American culture, especially in high-pressure environments like boardrooms, courtrooms, and political debates, the one who doesn't rush to fill every gap in conversation often holds the highest ground. It's simple psychology. Humans are uncomfortable with silence. When you leave a gap, most people scramble to fill it. They over-explain. They reveal too much. They make mistakes. But you just sit there, calm, collected. Your eyes steady, your body language unshaken. That's when people start to think, what's going on inside his head? And that, my friend, is where respect and sometimes fear is born. I once read about a high-stakes negotiation between a major U.S. tech company and a powerful investor. The investor made a big offer and expected a quick yes or no. The CEO just leaned back and said nothing. The silence stretched. 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds. By the time he spoke, the investor had increased the offer simply because he couldn't stand the silence. Silence is leverage.
History is filled with leaders who understood this truth. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king, was known for listening far more than he spoke. When others debated heatedly in the Roman Senate, Marcus would often sit silently, observing. And when he finally gave his opinion, it was clear, short, and decisive, because he had heard everything before speaking. Or consider Abraham Lincoln. He wasn't quick to argue. In fact, some of his political rivals complained that he would just sit there with his long legs crossed, saying nothing. But when Lincoln finally did speak, his words were so well chosen, so deliberate, that they often ended debates instantly. Then there's the famous American general Dwight D. Eisenhower. In military meetings, young officers would rush to propose strategies. Eisenhower would remain silent, letting everyone else exhaust themselves with ideas. Only then would he calmly outline a clear, simple plan, one that worked because he had listened first. These men didn't win with noise. They won with patience. They understood that silence buys time, gathers information, and projects authority. Let's bring this into today's world. Think about the best interrogators in law enforcement. They don't pressure suspects with endless talking. They ask one question, and then they let silence do the work. That pause, that unbearable, heavy pause, makes people crack. Because silence is like a mirror, and most people can't stand to see their own reflection for too long. Or take professional poker players. The loud, trash-talking players may entertain the crowd, but the ones who make the most money? They're the ones who sit there, still as stone, giving nothing away. And in personal relationships, silence can be a game changer. You don't have to argue every point. You don't have to respond to every criticism. Sometimes the best answer is none at all. And that quiet confidence will do more for your image than any clever comeback ever could. Let's be blunt. Talking too much is a weakness. The more you speak, the more likely you are to reveal information you didn't mean to, commit to something you shouldn't, say something that can be used against you. In high-stakes situations, business deals, court cases, even job interviews, people destroy themselves by over-explaining.
They fear the silence. They mistake it for weakness, so they rush to fill it and lose their advantage. There's an old legal saying, anything you say can and will be used against you. The same is true in life. The Stoics knew this. Epictetus said, "Let silence be your general rule, or say only what is necessary and in few words." Why? Because once words leave your mouth, you can't take them back. Silence keeps your power in your pocket. Silence is a weapon, but like any weapon, you need to train with it. Otherwise, you'll fumble when it matters most. Here's a simple training plan to make silence second nature. 1. The pause rule. Before responding to anything, a question, an insult, a proposal, pause for 3 full seconds. This gives you time to think, and it trains others to wait for your pace. 2. The listening drill. In your next conversation, focus entirely on listening. No interrupting, no relating to their story with your own. Just absorb. You'll be surprised how much you learn when you're not waiting for your turn to speak. 3. The controlled face. Silence without control is dangerous. You can't roll your eyes, sigh, or smirk. You must be unreadable. Steady gaze, relaxed posture, calm breathing. 4. The strategic word drop. When you do speak, keep it short. The fewer words you use, the more each one matters. And if you pause after speaking, people will lean in, desperate to know if you're going to say more. 5. The noise detox. Spend at least 30 minutes a day in total silence. No phone, no music, no conversation. This builds your tolerance for quiet, so you don't panic when it happens in real life.
Let's be real. Staying silent in the middle of a heated conflict is one of the hardest things you'll ever do. Your ego screams to respond. Your pride begs to defend itself. But remember this, every word you speak in anger is a word you will eventually regret. Silence in conflict doesn't mean you're avoiding the problem. It means you're waiting until you can address it with clarity instead of chaos. Think about the last time you got into an argument. Now imagine that instead of yelling, you simply stood there, calm, breathing, letting them talk until they ran out of steam. Do you think you'd have come out looking weaker or stronger? At its core, silence is about self-respect. You're telling the world, I don't owe you my reaction. I will not dance to your rhythm. My peace is worth more than your approval. In America, where speed and noise dominate, this kind of calm is magnetic. People start to see you differently. They come to you for advice. They trust you more because you're not impulsive. They respect you more because you're not desperate to prove yourself with every breath. Silence says, I am in control.